What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today I want to talk about the 1996 riot in New Folsom. The 1996 riot, I believe I already talked about a lot of the stuff in this video, but I don't know if I got into the specifics. I don't remember. And it's been years, and so I'm going to go ahead and do it here, right? There's been different videos put out about this riot. This riot lasted 31 minutes, or I think it was 30 minutes, and they fired 31 live rounds. Not counting the block guns, not counting the tear gas bombs and all that stuff, right? And it's the riot where I have talked about a lot, where a friend of mine, Shanky, he was killed by the cops in the middle of the yard. This riot was different than the one in Pelican Bay in 2000, in which the one in New Folsom, the COs shot. I don't remember how many inmates were shot, but only one Mexican was shot. That was who got killed. The cops were shooting a lot of blacks, man. I mean, all over the yard. The one in Pelican Bay, there was, if I remember right, 15 people shot in that riot, and only one was black. So it was like the exact opposite, right? Now, the lead up to the riot, I've seen another person do a video where they made up this whole story where a Southerner was slapped on the yard, and that's why the riot happened. It's the furthest thing from the truth. That didn't happen. If a Southerner would have got slapped on the yard and didn't do anything, the Southerners would have whacked that dude. Period. That would have been the first thing that happened. Okay? So that story was completely made up. I want to get into what really happened. So prior to the riot happening, there was a big weight pile on the yard. And the administration, and they know exactly what they're doing, man. CDCR officials know exactly what they're doing. They know how to foment violence. They know how to stir the pot. The administration decided they were going to put a weight pile inside of a fenced-in area. So they built the fences where the weight pile was fenced in. The area that it was in belonged to the Southerners and the Bulldogs. When they fenced all the weights in, they cut the weight pile down to about a third of what it originally was. You had to go do a physical and get your weightlifting card. It was a red card. They would do an unlock once, I think it was 45 minutes. When yard would open up, you could get in there, and I believe it was 45 minutes in, they would do an unlock, and then a new batch of people can get in, those guys get out. That created a problem right there. That weight pile and the inline and outline into the weight pile and out of the weight pile. You had blacks that were just wanting to work out, but they're running to the weight pile. And they're running through the Southern area or the Bulldog area. That was a security threat. And I remember going with the llavero, the guy that was running the yard for the Southerners, and we were speaking to different factions of blacks. Like, hey, we gotta come up with something better than this. We can't just have people running into our area because we don't know when it's a threat and when it's not. And somebody, if one of the Southerners just pulls out a piece and whacks somebody, they're in their right. And we're trying to avoid some bullshit. And everybody that we spoke to was in agreement as far as the blacks. Every one of them was in agreement with it. Yeah, we gotta fix this. But nothing was getting done. And then the incident occurred on the upper basketball court with the Southerners and the Bulldogs. And I was involved in that. And so I wind up going to the hole. And in the hole, I catch some more stuff over there. So I wasn't on the front line of what was really going on out there. But being part of the leadership in AdSeg, we were aware of what was going on. And then when everybody came to the back after the riot happened, we were made aware of everything, right? Now, this story, and I know there's going to be certain people that are going to, oh, Dubs is talking shit. This is not talking shit. It's the truth. Tensions were mounting on the southern end. The Southerners were pissed. They felt like enough talking already, Holmes. We've talked to everybody we need to fucking talk to. These dudes ain't stopping their people from running into our area. Now, we got to just get off. We got to show them. We talked, we tried, you didn't respect it. So that was the talk going around. There was a specific mouthpiece for the blacks that approached the guy running the show for the Southerners. And he said, look, we see you guys. Basically, the exact words I don't have. But basically, it came down to this. Look, we understand you guys are pissed off. We don't know why you guys are mad. If it's over any dope debts, remember, Mexicans are not allowed to buy dope off of blacks, especially during that time, right? And so he was like, look, I talked to, everybody, and if this is over any dope debts, we'll squash all the dope debts. Because there wasn't that many Mexicans that owed blacks, right? So he's like, we'll squash all the Mexicans' dope debts. Anybody that owes, let them know, they don't know shit. Obviously, the llavero, the guy, I hate using the word shot caller because they're not really shot callers, but for this purpose, we're gonna say that, right? The shot caller for the Southerners isn't gonna know who owes the blacks, because if he personally knows for sure a specific dude owes the blacks, they're gonna whack him. That was the rule. But he heard him out and accepted that. Okay, cool. You guys can squash every debt. We'll let the homies know everything's whatever. And so he left. Now, I've told stories about one of my homeboys that was on the yard. He had been doing time since the 70s, right? And for some reason, the homies that were like the heavies on the yard, they afforded my homeboy a lot of respect just because he had been doing time since the 70s. I didn't feel like that warrants that much respect when you're just slamming dope on the yard. You weren't like, that's my homeboy. But I talked about he got caught owing the blacks. And they came and asked me and another homie from Santa Barbara, from Bruta, if we would cover the other homie's debt. I said, hell no, whack him. You would whack anybody else? Whack him. The other homie he's from the east side, he wanted paying the homie's debt. I told him, you shouldn't have did that, Holmes. Fuck that. The guy gets too many passes, man. Right? Well, that guy right there, my homeboy, approached the llavero and asked him, hey, I saw you talking to them vatos over there. What do they want? And the llavero tells him, well, they said that, they want to keep everything cool. And it wasn't out of cowardice for anybody to say, oh, the blacks, Dubs is saying the blacks were scared. I'm not saying that. War fucks off money, man. These dudes wanted to make money. They were making money. Everybody that was in the dope game was making good money on that yard. They wanted to just continue to make money. They felt it was a petty issue, and it was. It was an issue that if they could have just got their people to not run into the area, walk into the area respectfully, none of this tension would have been created. None of it would have ever started. But again, the administration knew, put a fence around that area. They're going to run through the Southerners area, and the Southerners are going to be pissed. They knew what they were doing, man. Well, the llavero explains to my homeboy, yeah, they squashed every debt. And I'm sure my homeboy owed them a bunch of money. That dude used to always say, I'll burn whoever I know, won't do nothing about it. I was sellies with him for a while, and it was just like, he was a good dude, man, but he had some dope fiend habits, man, that I didn't respect, right? And so when the llavero explains that to my homeboy, instead of my homeboy being like, oh, cool, I don't know no money or whatever, my homeboy tells the llavero, hey, you accepted that? And the llavero's like, what do you mean? And he said, my homeboy tells him, you realize that if they just said that to let your guard down, and then in a couple days or tomorrow or next yard or next week, the blacks get off on the homies, you know your career's done, right? Because you accepted some greedy shit like that. That right there solidified it in the llavero's head. This is a homie that's been doing this since the 70s. He's been around a lot of heavy hitters, the big dogs. And he took that. And he made up his mind. We're going to get off on these dudes. I want you to understand, my homeboy was the lead porter, the lead tier tender in 7 building on B Yard. He could get in and out of his cell anytime he wanted. The whole time we were selling, the door was never closed unless it was his shift was over. During the morning shift, when Yard is out, our cell door was cracked, like 8 inches. That way he could walk in and out. He was able to get in and out of the cell and in and out of the building anytime he wanted. He just told the llavero, don't accept that agreement. We got to get off on these dudes. They already know that there's a threat and they feel it. And we got to get off. The llavero was a down ass motherfucker. No hesitation. All right, let's go. We're going to do this. So word went out. For the people that needed to know, hey, get everything ready. We're going. There was a specific person who had a lot of access to the yard. That individual literally brought out a brown grocery bag from the canteen. Paper bag, doubled up, full of knives. He set it on the Southerner's table, and when Yard came out, everybody was told, if you don't already have one, go to that fucking brown bag and get you one. Be discreet. We don't want the Judas to know. My homeboy, been doing it since the 70s. Can get in and out of the cell anytime he wants. Can get in and out of the building anytime he wants. When the riot jumped off, he was taking a shit in his cell. Conveniently didn't get involved. He pushed this fucking issue. It probably would have still happened. But he was the one that got in the homie's ear, knowing that they respected his opinions and his way of thinking. And they went. And it was brutal. And the homie Shanky was murdered by a cop. And my homeboy had bubble guts. Sat on the shitter. He wound up catching a shoe term. We both got out of the shoe around the same time. He did a short shoe term though. You got to remember, I had already got off like 4 months before the riot kicked off. I got into it, on the melee on the upper basketball court. He got out before me. He was on B Yard in the Bay. And he was a completely different person. This dude was working out. He was in good shape. And I remember my first fucking statement to him. I said, oh, you working out now, huh? He said, I don't use no dope on this yard. Dope's way too hot here. Pelican Bay was different because you had the legends right there. You can see them at medical. Go to the specialty clinic. You could see 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them. Depends, right? And I asked him, what happened to your stomach that day, Holmes? Because I wanted him to know that wasn't cool. Whatever's going to be, if there's going to be a big deal made out of that, luckily for him, those guys never pushed the issue. I'm reminded of my homeboy a lot when I see a lot of these comments, man. These guys that are so gung-ho in the comment section, talking shit. And we all have people in our lives that are like this, right? Hey, you should go do this. Hey, you should go do that. And meanwhile, they sit their ass right in the same spot. That's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love, man. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I'm speaking truth from the cell to the streets. Did 24 years, now I'm finally free. Eight strong standing, no chains on me. Ex-con, ex-gang, but my soul found peace. Taught by the struggle, pain made me wise. I seen homies fall, seen mothers cry. Now I'm here to teach what the system denies. From the darkness I rose, Tupac in my eyes. This channel ain't clout, it's the scars I show. Life lessons in these rhymes so the young ones know. Dubs on the mic, watch the wisdom grow. If you walk through the fire, let your spirit glow.
Welcome to Vario Liquors, home of the coldest beer in the 209. Chilled to a perfect 32 degrees. From mix and go drink kits to both classic and exotic spirits, we've got something for everyone. Visit us at 1870 Countryside Drive, Turlock, California. Catch you at the Vario.